Hi, I'm Mickelle Weber, founder and auteur of House of Peregrine. Expat, immigrant, pioneer, none of these were a fit, but Peregrine describes what we are all about perfectly. Those that craft their life story with intention. I've spent the last 6 years in awe of the life-changing connections and stories I have experienced while living abroad, and believe it is time for this adventure to be recognized, celebrated, and elevated to the life stage that it is. Through these interviews, I hope to connect those living internationally more deeply to both the place they are living and with themselves and those around them. We cover everything from international finances and meaning-making to global parenting and relationships to make your time abroad more intentional, edifying, and full of beauty. Find us at houseofperegrine.com, where you can find more ways to connect with the ethos of Peregrine. I hope you enjoy today's guest. Let's get started. Hello and welcome back. If you've ever felt caught financially between countries that you live in and maybe where you're from, trying to figure out which card to use, where to open an account, which account to log in with, or where you want your financial life to actually live, you're not alone. I have felt all of this and more, and when I started using Kubera, everything got just a little bit easier. So I brought you today's short episode because it's one of our most played. I talk with Rohit Nadhani, one of the founders of Kubera, about what it means to build software for a globally mobile life. He shares his own journey from growing up in India to moving to the US and the shift towards designing for global citizens. We also share a surprising and moving look at one of Kubera's most unique features, the dead man switch. I hope you enjoy it. And for me, it was a breath of fresh air because when I'm using things, I have to decide, am I a US person or am I a European person? Which phone number do I sign in with? Which, Google account, where is it registered? Like all of these things, they're small, but they just add up. And so when I used your software, you could tell you had been through this. And I think that that's really the way of the future. But also, as you said, it helps you to plan, which is something we all need more than anything because there's not really precedence for living this way and doing it in this way. And so, yeah, congratulations, I guess, as that. So that's why I wanted to have you on. So tell me, I want to back up a little bit. So which part of India are you from? And then did you plan on staying in the US long term? Tell us your story about that.
Yeah, I grew up in Kolkata, which is the eastern part of India, uh, and then I moved to for career and to become a software engineer. I moved to Bangalore, which is really the Silicon Valley of India,
Oh,
and I took up a job there for 5 years, and then I started my first startup in Bangalore, which was enterprise software selling to US customers. And that's how I started traveling to US, and that's how I thought, yeah, maybe I should try living there for some time before my kids, uh, grow up or something like that. And we thought, and we had all these luxuries, and everything was set in India, Bangalore. But we said we are going to try for 1 year, like. So I kept my apartment. But after landing here, yeah, California is such like a special place, and it's like so welcoming. And I never felt like I was in a foreign land, and it was just like the fact that I am into tech and software made it even more natural for me to continue living here. And then here we are now, 10 years. Maybe I'll go back to India one day when I'm done with tech and software, and all of that. But it's a good place for tech software. It's a good place for kids to grow up as well.
yeah. Hilariously, that's what we said when we moved to Amsterdam. We'll go for 1 year. What could go wrong? And now it's been 7. So it happens when you do this.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And how has being in software, I feel like there's 2 types, and I know this from my investing days and being part of startups. There's usually the type of people that think more in a worldwide market and those who think for US. And I think that it's a huge market. I understand the US is a huge market, one language. You don't have to do any type of translating or regulatory things or anything. But you don't know unless you live away that it's really limiting. And so have you noticed that as well? And like, I feel like that's a huge advantage for you guys in having that point of view. And in business in general, I think that's a really great point of view. But have you noticed the same, or am I just,
No, of course. So I think traditionally people used to focus only in the US market because the share of US market was higher and it was also easier. You know, you have to deal with one currency, you have to deal with one UI. You for us, I mean, just sidetracking for us, if you just wanted to support US, engineering the product would have been much easier. You just sign up to one aggregator that supports US and you are done. Just make sure that you hard code US dollars and just so much easier to engineer. But we said no, that the tides are turning and people are increasingly becoming global citizens. So not only it makes more business sense now to kind of have kind of a global product because the rest of the world is growing and in fact growing faster. So maybe still they are not. Maybe US still leads as a single highest country in terms of software sales, but the international like business outside US is growing. So there was business reasons. And since we're building software for ourselves, I mean, why would I build software that I am not happy using it every day? So, but at the same time, if there were, I mean, is this because at the end of the day, I'm also trying to build a business. So if building for the rest of the world doesn't make business sense, I wouldn't have built it. But now it's a software that I love using every day and it makes business sense. So
yeah,
the timing was sweet from that point of view.
nice. So I want to talk about a little bit about the process of using Kubera. Tell us about the dead man switch. We have to talk about it. It's unique and beautiful and a software solution to what many of us have written up legally. So can you tell us about it? It sounds like there's a good story to begin with.
Yeah, so there are two, I would say there are multiple reasons to use Kubera. So one of the primary reasons is that you keep keep a live balance sheet. So you have your net worth, you are actively tracking it, and and you don't panic when there is volatility. And the second reason why many people use Kubera is a single place for all your assets if something happens to you. And now this is a very tricky situation. Like, why would you need a dead man switch? Like, why can't you just write it on a piece of paper and hand it to someone? The thing with money is it's a little tricky. You don't want to disclose all the information to everyone before the event happens because it can get tricky. Things can get complicated. You don't want to share with your friends, your parents, what exactly do you own. You don't want to be judged. You don't want other people to put you in an awkward situation, like things like, you have so much money, why don't you write like a $10,000 loan to me? It will just put you on an awkward situation. And after you have had this conversation, it always goes downwards. Even if you give the loan, it's a tricky situation. If you don't give the loan, it's a tricky situation. So money is that thing that at the same time, if something happens to you, you don't want to lose that wealth. You want someone to take care of it. If you're small kids, it has to be transferred. Or if you don't have any kids, if someone should like take control of the situation. So dead man switch allows you to ensure that all your information, financial information, transfers to the right, we call it beneficiary, only if something bad happens to you. So you put all this data in Kubera, and if you don't log in for a specific number of days, we'll try to warn you. We said, hey, are you alive? Like, click on that link. Are you okay? And for example, the default is set to 45 days. If you don't log into Kubera after 45 days, the system will try to contact you. Otherwise, it will kind of export everything in an Excel sheet and send it to an email address or a phone number that you have specified in Kubera. So we call it share, but not just yet.
What I love about Rohit's approach is that it's not just about building features into software. It's about building things for people for how they actually live between countries. Whether you're moving for a year or staying for a decade, or maybe you don't know, Kubera meets you where you are right now and helps you plan for what comes next. If this clip resonated with you, I encourage you to go back and listen to our full conversation in episode 34 and maybe even give Kubera a try. All right, I will see you next time. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed our show. For the latest insights on living internationally, join us at houseofperegrine.com to find out how you can connect with our community.